I call the 1,552nd meeting of the General Student Senate to order. First, I will read the land acknowledgement. The University of Maine student government recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The University of Maine student government also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. Next, the clerk will call the roll.
Edie Crawford. Cynthia Shelburne. Here. Nate Fang. Memphis Peterson.
Here.
Jordan Thompson.
Here.
Neil Rocky.
Here.
Kate Kemper. Here. Hayden Buzzell.
Here.
Samuel Brown.
Here.
Callie Warren. Here. Elizabeth Oldfield. Here. Joshua Bone.
Here.
Vassar Harvey.
Here.
James Reader Stewart.
Here.
Bo Mishu.
Here.
Meredith Waters.
Excused.
Darren Martone.
Here.
Kyle Ricker.
Excused.
Sean Vernigan.
Here.
Tim Berger.
Excused.
Madeline Howard. Here. Michael Dolores.
Here.
Keegan Fripp.
Here.
Paige Allen. Here. Miles Moore.
Here.
Julian Ober. Here. Jacob Chaplin.
Here.
Hope Carroll. Here. Camden Olson.
Here.
Olivia Braden. Here. Riley Mills.
Excused.
Kristen Fred.
Here.
Amanda Levesque. Here. Jacob Harquist.
Excused.
Anna Blanchett.
Excused.
Natalie Pullen. Here. John Guzman.
Here.
Emery Clifford. Here. Cass Balea. Here. Dylan DeMerchant.
Here.
Danny Tanaka.
Excused.
Lori Sidelko. Here.
All right. Next, I'm looking for approval of the 02/20/2024 minutes and this agenda. Senator Peterson.
I move to approve the 2/20/2024 minutes on this agenda.
Second. But that's the pleasure of the Senate. That's adopted. We will now move into the Robert's Rules tip of the week. All right. This week, it is a point of order. When a member of the assembly thinks that the rules of the assembly are being violated, they can make a point of order, or sometimes called a raise of question of order. Thereby calling upon the chair for a ruling and enforcement of the regular rules. The chair must then rule on the motion and either accept or reject the point of order. All right, we'll now move into general good and welfare. Any non-member may address the Senate for not more than 5 minutes. Seeing none, we will now move into new senators, officer appointments and resignations. Today we have Meredith Waters resigning from representative to the Graduate Student Senate. Next, we'll move on to club maintenance, starting with golf for final recognition. Do we have a speaker?
Yes,
The floor is yours.
so my name is David Zarnecki. I'm back for final recognition for the second time after being reverted back to Senate. So we're club golf. Basically, it's just a massive club for the sport of golf. Some people come to hang out, play, learn about the sport, and then others go out, adventure through all of New England and compete. And basically, it's just one big group.
Perfect, all right. Do we have any questions for the speaker? Vice President Allen.
How many members do you have?
So currently, actively traveling is 10, actively coming to the course to play on like the weekends, roughly 30. But over 200 signed up at the involvement fair in August. So, yeah.
Senator Harvey.
You have to have any experience to be good to join the club.
You have to have no experience to join the club.
Any other question of Senator Bone?
Do you see asking for any funding from us in the future?
I potentially see to ask for some funding for pay to play, various different reasons. For students that come in with absolutely zero experience, golf does require equipment. We do work very closely with Penobscot Valley Country Club and they offer their resources, but potential funding may be needed.
Any other questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
400 ought to pass.
Senator Peterson.
Move to accept the committee's recommendation.
Second.
If that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We'll now move into a period for discussion. Vice President Ober.
So this club came last semester, but it presented as like two distinct golf clubs. One that will be traveling and one that is just for hanging out and playing golf. They were referred back to SOC, which was actually very helpful because we fleshed out kind of what that meant. And really what we came to realize is that the golf club is like an umbrella club for golf. So like everybody who wants to play golf on this campus is gonna play golf on this campus. And some of those people under the umbrella will travel and compete. And some of those people will stay right here at home and just play golf on the weekends because they just have a passion for golf. Which does fit within our structures for recognition. That's it.
Any other points for discussion? Debate. Vice President Ober.
For those reasons, I think that we should pass this club because it's very similar to a lot of our other clubs, as well as they've gone through the process of becoming a club sport, which I think was in turn kind of the issue is there was some discrepancies that I am working with Dale to fix, because I think they were concerned about the funding they could get. But that's all been put aside, and I'm working on the larger issue and this project has.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Yeah, of course. Seeing no club presentations, I would like to welcome our guest speaker for the night to this, the podium. Tonight is Kelly Sparks, the Chief Financial Officer of the University of Maine. So everyone give a warm welcome. Perfect.
Hi, well, thank you. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to join you. My name is Kelly Sparks. I go by she, her pronouns, and my title is Vice President of Finance Administration, Chief Business Officer at the University of Maine. There's a number of folks who I've been meeting with over the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to just start by explaining a little bit about the structure. So I'm a University of Maine employee, but I'm also a University of Maine system employee. So I have a dual report relationship to the president here, as well as the Vice Chancellor of Finance at the system level. And that's important for a couple of reasons. We balance our budget at the entire system level. We also negotiate our state appropriations from the system, from the state that support our overall budget. Just a little bit about the areas that I support that you can feel free to hold me accountable for, and that is I oversee our budgeting function. That doesn't mean I make all the decisions around budget. That means that I manage the process and support the decision-making process. I support our facilities and operations teams. So that's everything from grounds, facilities, maintenance, as well as capital construction here on our campus. I also support our auxiliary units. Basically, our auxiliary units are self-support units that support the university or support students when you're outside of the classroom. So that's housing, dining, Sodexo. I know that's a hot topic. As well as childcare, student services, and events and hospitality. I am happy to take questions in any of those areas or return or meet with small groups as helpful and appreciate the feedback. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of budget context. So we are currently in fiscal year 24. Our fiscal year goes from July 1 to June 30th. So we're a little over halfway through fiscal year 24. Overall, you're all reading the newspaper, you're seeing what's happening across the country. Colleges and universities across the country are experiencing difficult budget situations right now. We're seeing declining high school graduation, just population declines, not because fewer students are necessarily graduating, but we have a smaller population set. That's specifically aggravated here in New England and in Maine. We will see over the next 10 years, probably about 1,500 fewer high school graduating seniors than we do today. So it's just a different, it's a different size population that the University of Maine needs to figure out how to serve with high quality, how to serve your needs, how to serve your diverse interests. So as we look towards our budget, for those of you who need a little bit of reading before going to sleep at night, Board of Trustee website has budgets from last year. In the gist of what we did for fiscal year 24 is that there was a $28.5 million gap. That means that we were spending $28.5 million more than we were bringing in state appropriations, in tuition and fee revenue, and indirect cost return, which is the overhead dollar amount that comes off of research grants that are part of our overall funding source. So we proposed and were approved by the Board of Trustees to pursue a 3-year balancing plan. And the objective there was to say, if we rip the Band-Aid off in this case, we'll make bad decisions, right? If we're trying to, over time, figure out the strategic way to grow enrollment, new programs, new campuses on campus. We want to look at where we can surgically make decisions to reduce our budget. We need 3 years to get there. And over that 3-year period, we'll strategically use our reserves that we have in hand to help us get through that, get through this 3-year period. So that was fiscal year 24. We're now getting ready to submit our budget for fiscal year 25. So that will be the initial presentation will be at the Board of Trustees or the Finance, Facilities, and Technology Committee, specifically of the Board of Trustees, on March 20th. That is open for participation. It is an in-person meeting, and it will also be live streamed on YouTube. So I encourage you to check in and see how we're communicating that information and what questions. I will also open it up that it becomes while it's a pretty PowerPoint, it's dense with content and dense with financial data. Our overall operating budget for EMG, or for what we call our education and general funds, which are the general purpose of that is the academic research and public engagement mission. So that's what goes to fund our faculty, to fund our facilities. That's a little over $285 million a year. So there's a lot of complexity to that. I'm more than happy to come back and talk more about the details of that. To balance the budget, there's 2 major ways that we're going to achieve that. It's not all about slashing and cuts. It's about growth, and it's about, so I refer to those as opportunities. How can we invest in things to help us grow where it's appropriate for us to grow? And then how can we think about efficiencies or opportunities? So this year it's fairly balanced as we go into this FY25. We'll be offering about $9.5 million in growth and about $10 million in strategic reductions. It's hard. It is hard. Your faculty, your deans, your administrators in student success and other divisions have been looking at details. They've been thinking through what's the best way to achieve this. We know we have a different size population, so how can we continue to serve them, but maybe in some different ways? So they have proposed those budgets. We'll be sharing the high-level summary of that with FFT on March 20th. So I guess I'll wait till the end for questions. I will go on to the next topic, which is, do you want me to pause?
No.
No, okay. So I also wanted to just acknowledge the concerns. I have heard loud and clear the concerns that you have around Sodexo. The one I want to offer is that I know we have a third-party operator, but I also want you to hold me and the university accountable for that. So dining wasn't a system choice; it was a university choice. So it's a system. It's a little complicated because there's a system contract on which we jumped on board with it, but it was a university decision to do this. And so I want you to hold me accountable, and I was a part of that decision-making process. And the goal is to provide you with a high-quality University of Maine dining experience. And if we're not doing that, then that's on me, and I'm open to hearing that feedback. We have, and I printed out a couple of flyers here. There is an open survey right now. There's a QR code on here. There's an open survey right now to provide feedback. We're not waiting for all the survey to come in. We're making changes on a daily basis in Hilltop in particular right now. We're also evaluating the dining program for FY '25. Both the all you can eat as well as meal plan access for students. Please provide your feedback, but I also want you to know that I'm again happy to meet, and a couple of students have reached out in small groups to talk about the very specific feedback that you should be already seeing in the facilities. I'm also committed. I will be up there every 2 weeks, random intervals, having a meal, joining you, checking in to make sure that it's meeting your expectations and my expectations, so feel free to reach out on that. I also wanted to chat a little bit about housing options for next year. So there are some exciting things happening, some changes happening. So we are launching in the next couple of weeks a housing evaluation of all housing on campus. So it'll be a 3-part study. It will include a physical review of every housing building on campus. So we have someone coming in to look at the state of repair, what the cost of that repair would be, how can we remodel those buildings to create more accessible access, to create more single-use bathrooms, to accommodate housing types that meet your needs, and frankly, not what my need was when I was in college 35 years ago. So that study will be going, I will email leadership here. We'd like to have we'd like to have 2 students involved, one on the steering committee and one on the working group. And it will be happening this spring very quickly. So we'll be engaging that walkthrough to happen the week after spring break is our target week to get that consulting team on campus, followed by focus groups, a survey of students, and some early recommendations for remodel to take place as early as this summer. And then ultimately building the outcome of that into our multi-year capital plan so that every year we can make measurable improvements to our housing, which could include frankly, tearing down buildings if that's what a better choice is, and building new facilities that better accommodate future student needs. So there's a lot to unpack in it. There's an architect who's also a part of that study who will be doing a pilot design for Hancock Hall. So thinking about how we can make some revisions specifically to that building and get them going quickly so that you can see the impact in your time here at UMaine. We're also thinking about this from a sustainability perspective. So we are looking at about 89,000 square feet of space on campus that we would like to frankly take offline, reduce our energy consumption, reduce our physical footprint. Some of those buildings would be torn down right away. Some of those buildings would be shuttered, means they'd be closed off, energy brought down to a minimal level so pipes don't break until we have the funding in hand to remove those buildings. So we're going through a process right now of working with administrative and academic units to talk about some moving of folks on campus. With a lens of how do we create synergies between academic centers and units? How do we create like administrative units with other administrative units? So those conversations are ongoing to come up with a plan. That will reduce our energy consumption and operating budget by about $700,000 a year. And we can then take those funds and put them back into things that will create more value for students than paying an energy bill, and will help us move towards our carbon commitment, the zero carbon commitment. We are also, just a couple of other things, of places for student engagement. This week, we're launching a budget committee and a space committee. So thank you very much to your participation. We had the space committee today for the first time. The budget committee will be on Thursday. That will be we'll start the work this spring. We'll have enough time for 2 or 3 meetings. We'll then re-engage in the fall through our next academic year. It will be an ongoing presidential committee. And we will have, there'll be 4 students involved on each committee. So undergraduate students, graduate students, Machias student leadership, and a student athlete. So those will be ongoing. If you'd like more information or like to be further briefed on that, again, happy to bring that information back. Those are the big, oh, one other thing, we are also doing a facility study. So we heard you, we have cockroaches. And I don't mean to make light of it, it's real. It's a place, this is your home. This is a place where you're spending, 8-10 hours a day. Some of you are living on campus. Our facility standards, we have old buildings, and that can't be our excuse to not have the best repair of those buildings that we possibly can. So we are evaluating our facilities and operations, both for grounds, indoor spaces and outdoor spaces, and looking at what improvements we can make in order to bring the quality standard up on campus. So that study has actually just launched. We provided them with thousands of line item details, financial information, budget information, and we have a third party giving us an independent assessment on what we can do and how we can do it better, what those key performance indicators are we want to manage against, and we'll work towards beginning implementation of that later this summer into next academic year. I will pause and hand it back over to you.
All right, so I budgeted about 4 minutes for questions now. Just so we can probably really, but I wanted you guys to interact with this because this is super cool. So yeah, any questions for Ms. Barnes? Senator Bone.
I just want to talk on Estabrook as a topic, as a RA and as an honor student. What is the benefit? I know that it had recently been remodeled to be student dorms. So what's the reasoning for doing that?
Yeah, so there's a number of things. That's a part of what we call the big idea. It's a really big idea, but that's somehow got titled that. So that's a part of the removal of 89,000 square feet on campus. So there's a couple of, that's part of it. Part of it is Estabrook, there's multiple, we have administrative units as well as students in there. We have University of Maine system employees and we have University of Maine employees. There's a safety concern, one about multiple access, different users using that building. So that's one part of it. Another part of it is we know that we need more buildings that are like Estabrook on campus. And so we want to replace that space in Hancock and Stoddard. In Stoddard, there are some of where there's administrative offices in residential rooms. We're actually going to remove those offices from those residential spaces and open up those residential rooms. And we're going to remodel Hancock to offer single-use bathrooms as well as single rooms. Communication, we did not do a good job. So I own that. We came out without the rest of the information surrounding it. It was a surprise. It was unfair to students. We can do better. So again, you can hold me accountable for that. So the goal is to have more housing like Estabrook, but to use that building slightly differently in the coming year. So it helps with our sustainability goals. It helps us with ultimately getting towards more housing improvements happening on campus for students. It allows us to align some administrative groups that make sense together. One of the groups that we're looking at moving into Estabrook, for example, is our admissions recruitment team, bringing them back on campus, as well as consolidating our cooperative extension units. They're kind of dispersed around in a number of areas. So the goal is that alignment of synergy of programs. The way that it was communicated was lousy. Thank you.
Representative Pullen.
So you talked about like housing and whatnot. Do you have plans for like academic buildings? So the School of Social Work still in portable trailers in the far back of campus?
They were a part of this MOVE plan.
Perfect.
Yeah, so one of those synergies is how can we align social work with the nursing program? We know that there's synergies there. How can we get them close and co-located, and how can we start moving those? So yes, academic programs are also a part of this, and they're a big part, the major part of our a 10-year capital plan. One improvement that you'll see this summer is we'll actually be going to the Board of Trustees, asking them for borrowing capacity to replace the HVAC systems. Doesn't sound very sexy, heating and cooling systems, but in Bennett Hall, and if you've had a class in there, sometimes it can be pretty uncomfortable. So that to fix the air handling system in that building. We're also looking at Hitchner, the 87 wing, improvement of that building, as well as Sawyer. Those three buildings came to the top of the list because frankly, if those systems fail, it's very, very difficult for us to replace them and could be very timely. So we're looking as closely at academic buildings. The space committee that I talked about, the goal of that group is there's a multi-layered charge. But one is to help us set values around how we prioritize funding. We never have enough and we want to do more than we have, but how do we set the values around how we allocate funds? And then to help us prioritize specifically what projects we go forth with in FY25, FY26 and beyond. So really trying to bring that group together to help us prioritize.
All right. We are technically out of time, but I will entertain one more question. So keep your hands up if you were gonna ask a question. You're not gonna ask a question, all right? The Representative DeMerchant.
I wanted to ask, so you were looking at exploring energy, like the energy costs. Have you explored options beyond like electrical lighting on campuses? Because I've seen very innovative designs coming from, at least from out of the United States, so I don't know if you're familiar with designs, but like there's a German design where they install sort of like holes in the ceiling, but it's refracting mirrors and shining light down into like the rooms. Like I can imagine these have like the little hallways over there. Have you explored any of those options?
So I'll say the short story is right now we're focused on the University of Maine energy plant, and that is a replacement of the steam plant. What that does is it moves us off fossil fuels to biofuels, and that's a first big step. But you're right, the mechanical systems in buildings, if we just replace each of our buildings with similar mechanical systems that we have today, it will reduce our energy consumption because they'll be more efficient than our really old systems, but it won't materially change it. So we need to develop an energy plan for the campus that takes us towards towards our carbon commitment. It's HVAC systems, it's building envelopes, so it's the windows, it's the insulation in the buildings, it's the air circulation within the buildings, it's controls. So frankly, right now we have to have someone run around and turn the heating off in every room. We waste a lot of energy. So there's a lot that needs to be done on it. So we need to develop an integrated energy plan. I most recently came from a university where we were a net zero energy campus. So there's a lot of things we can do. We can look at geo exchange. We can look at innovative mechanical systems, air handling within the building. So the answer is we haven't done it yet. We will start doing it as soon as we get approval and move past doing UMEC and into the next phase. And we need to engage students in that, and we'll do some of that work through a sustainability presidential committee as well that they're working on right now.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. All right, we will now be moving on to executive reports, starting with the president.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Kelly and Dick, for coming. We appreciate it. So I have a couple updates tonight. First thing I'd like to say is my mom was in town this weekend. I promise this is related. Her and I went to the International Dance Festival this weekend. We went to the 2 o'clock showing. It was really great. It was just like, it was awesome to see the alumni engagement. Representative Guzman had some guest appearances, and Representative DeMerchant performed in a couple of dances. But it was just great to see where student government money can go. And that we could put on such a great student-led event like that. So congrats, guys, it was awesome. My mom loved it too, for what it's worth. Also, Arden Traxel, Lori and James Salidas and I met today to discuss the esports arena, and we are in the process of negotiating a new memorandum of understanding for the next year or so. I'll also be coming to student government with a request next week for new gear for the esports arena to replace some broken items. But I'll update you on that next week. Brendan also asked me to share with you that this Saturday is Western Winter Carnival from 5 to 9 p.m. in Fogler. He says there'll be tons of exciting activities such as, get ready for this, baby cow petting, a mechanical bull, casino with prizes, contra dance with a live band, stuff a buddy with cowboy black bears, and a mocktail saloon. So get hyped and go. I'm also working on the exec interview questions now that I finished up the job description resolution. And I'm gonna do that to kind of like make the interviews more specific to each position to better improve student gov's hiring process. And two more things. This Friday, as Tom Pico said in one of our last meetings, as president of student government, I'm a non-voting member of the Alumni Association board. So they have their quarterly board meeting this Friday on campus in person, and I'll be going to give some updates about what our organization is up to and what undergrad student life is like on campus. In the morning, we're also getting a tour of Hotel Ursa. So I'll let you know what I think of Hotel Ursa and maybe show you some pictures too in the sense. Lastly, Vice President Chaplin, are you talking about the retreat in your report?
Yes.
Okay. I want to highlight how important this retreat is. So if you listen to nothing else in my report, please know that Vice President Chaplin is putting a lot of effort into this retreat. We've never had a retreat like this in my entire time in student government. Jacob and I have calculated it out. We're coming up on almost 100 student government meetings. And in our entire time of going to all of those meetings, we've never had a retreat like this. I think for the longevity of our organization and for your own development as a student government leader and as a leader on campus, you're really gonna wanna attend this. So please listen to what he says and try to attend and put it in your schedule. That's the end of my report.
Perfect. We'll move on to my report. This was uncoordinated, but I wanted to also congratulate ISA on such a great thing, and also the claps were underwhelming. So can we do that again? Killing it as always again. So I think again, such an awesome thing that we get to do. And if you didn't go this year, please go next year because it was an absolute blast. Second, I wanted to wish a huge happy birthday to Representative Balea. Birthday to President Delors. I'll go on the cake over there, and I will not be mad if everybody gets up during my report and grabs one as long as they're quiet and respectful. And then next, for my last thing of thanks, I wanted to thank FEPC Chair Olson as well as Sophia for putting on an excellent debate last night. Right, now for business. Myself and Vice President Allen met with Cheer. It was a super productive meeting. I'm gonna allow her to kind of expand on that in her report. Next, I have the email and I believe the YouTube is set up to start uploading our meetings. So that's super exciting. It only took like several phone calls to a manager, so I felt like a Karen for a minute. But it worked, and hopefully we can start this week. So that's a huge, huge thing in terms of connecting ourselves with the student body, and I'm excited about that. I'm hoping to also work with DOT Mills to get a place on our website where we can have all of those stored. That way people can kind of check in with us as at their leisure rather than, you know, coming to a 6 p.m. meeting on a Tuesday. Next, I sent out the survey to the outdoor clubs. The deadline for that is March 3rd. I'll be following up tomorrow with a kind of a fun email. I've only got one response, so I'm hoping to bump that up. And then afterwards, myself, Vice President Ober and Vice President Allen will be coordinating with Advisor Sadelko to kind of look through that and talk about next steps. Next, I started scheduling and having my one-on-ones. I've already had a few and I've had a great time chatting with you all. It's great to kind of just sit down and just like take a step back and just talk about why you're here and why you're doing it. And if I haven't gotten to you, I will soon. So look out for that. Next, I would like all chairs tonight who are here to give their meeting times and locations during their reports today. I also expect each chair to drop the same information into the Senate space by the end of the week. This is part of your requirements as a chair, and this is important to allow people to get involved. And this is a friendly reminder, that committee should be in almost all cases open to whoever wants to join. I've had some disappointing reach out about individuals not allowing people to join their committees or purposely withholding that information. That's not okay and I will not stand for it. So please do that during your reports. And then finally, a report about reports. I have been asked to address the length of reports. Our meetings, especially with the amazing influx of you all, look at this table, it is so full. And honestly, I get jitters every time I see it because it's awesome. But that inherently makes our meetings super long, which is okay. But we need to be aware of the length of our reports. I'm not asking you to withhold important information. I'm asking you to keep it to important information. And I want to remind everybody about the Senate space so that if you have an extra long report, maybe some information that's not entirely super pressing, but you still want to communicate it to the Senate, you guys can drop stuff in there. This is just to kind of make sure that we're moving things through smoothly because this is already a huge time commitment and it's getting longer and longer. And I don't want to kind of burden you guys with a meeting like this. So our goal is to keep it to about 5 minutes. Hopefully, and of course, if there's something pressing that you really need to talk about, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you now, but just keep that in mind, please. And that is the end of my report. We'll move into the Vice President for Financial Affairs.
Hi, everyone. My Friday office hours will shift slightly, to be from 12:30 to 3 instead of 11:30 to 2. As VP Tripp mentioned, I met with cheer and athletics on Friday. We mainly expressed UMSG's perspective and sort of helped cheer, explain their circumstances and how they've been feeling and the lack of support that they've been receiving from athletics. The person that we met with, his name was Tyson, was very open to the conversation and agreed that change definitely needs to happen. Athletics will be going back to their department and doing some fact finding, sort of about why these rules are in place, how much wiggle room there is, and how we can make change, and we will meet again after spring break. I met with our attorney, Sean O'Mara, today, along with VP Tripp and President Forge to negotiate for the first round of this contract negotiation. Things went well. Representative Britton and I will be setting up a standing meeting with Kelly Sparks just to sort of make sure that we have all the information that she's talking about. Obviously, she does a lot of really cool things and things that are pertinent to students. So we'll be sort of like giving her student feedback in those meetings probably once every couple of weeks. And also floating some stuff out to the Senate that might not otherwise get communicated from sort of like a top-down perspective, and also sort of asking her about the committees that she mentioned, and if people want to serve on them, allowing people to do so. Budgets are due for the annual budget. Budgets are due next Friday, the day before spring break at noon. Please contact me if you want them, if you want me to look over them or if you submit them. And for my more traditional report, starting projected unallocated, we have $100,305.71. We had a return to unallocated from Maine Outing Club in the amount of $790. This is more of just like a accounting thing. They had to return it because we're taking the money from the outdoor clubs line that we allocated last year in the annual budget. But they have to like return it and then we have to take it out because it was originally taken out of unallocated. So we have an office budget for Partners for World Health, the amount of $200, a tabled request from Maine Masks for them to send students to a conference. UBC just wanted a little bit more information, and that we should see that coming to the Senate next week. 3 things under the consent agenda: Operation Hearts is going on a service trip. Black Bear Robotics is going to a competition in New Jersey, and then Partners for World Health is having their grand opening of their new sorting space. You will hear from Black Bear Beekeeping later tonight, and that is the end of my report.
Excellent. We'll move on to the Vice President for Student Organizations.
Hello, everyone. So I have a bunch of things going on this week and next, including like midterms and fun things. So I'm gonna have weird office hours the next 2 weeks. And I'm gonna try and keep you guys updated in the Google space. But again, and I know I say this every week, but if you need me, email me. And I'm happy to make an appointment outside of my time to like meet with you, but yeah. Also, Doug and I spoke this week about only doing digital copies of the relationship agreement. Computer's been invented, and I just think that it is a pain to have some things on paper and some things online. And so, yeah, so we're gonna be doing digital copies of all of these things, and then we internally will print them and keep it in our records. Yeah, that's just more of a fun fact if you're trying to start a club. We have a few clubs coming to SOC tomorrow, so for my people, mentally prepare for that one. And then, I'm required to report that the Student Organizations Committee has reactivated Maine Mask at State Club.
Move on to the Vice President for Student Entertainment.
Hello, so SEC is going to be meeting Fridays at 11 in my office the rest of the semester. Come if you would like. I'm also moving my office hours a little bit. I don't know my schedule, but I take 8-week classes because I'm technically a grad student also right now, so I'm moving my office hours around, but that should be sorted by Friday. You can always Zoom with me if you want to talk too. Very important announcement coming later this week regarding the UMSG Spring Comedy Show. And there's also a Mario Kart tournament that's going to be in the Esports Arena, March 22nd from 5 to 8. There'll probably be pizza. And then lastly, today from 3 to about 3:30, I was in the Maine Day of Service Planning Committee meeting. That was great. So end of report.
Excellent. We'll move on to the Vice President for Student Leadership.
Hey guys, so firstly with the leadership retreat, can everyone please go into the Google space and fill out the form that's in there. Mark if you're available for the different parts of that. The part that's really important to mark availability is the escape room because I need to get money and register everybody. So if you guys don't fill out that form this week, and like I'm gonna take whoever's confirmed the availability for that and confirm it. And like cut it off this Friday, but the actual other details for the event, so it's gonna be starting off with a discussion with a career coach about how to kind of translate your experiences with UMSG into post-grad opportunities. We're going to be having an alumni panel that President Delors is coordinating. We're going to be doing kind of a fun like case study workshop in small groups, kind of approaching problems in those small groups in like an ideal world. And then we're gonna be heading to Bangor for the Bangor escape rooms. And yeah, you can just go in there and mark your availability for each of those. So I'm going to be sending out for SLC members, I'm going to be sending out a Google form to you guys for ideas on the case study workshop. Try a couple different options for you guys to choose from, and if you guys have any ideas yourself. And we're not going to be having SLC this week because it can be an email, so it's going to be this week. But it's normally at 11 on Wednesdays. I met with Bailey Lewis from Swell last week to discuss collaborative events this semester, and we're going to be moving forward with 2 of them. One is going to be the week before finals, and it's going to be a DIY stress ball making and finals survival kit making. That's going to be taking place in their new, they have a new space down by their offices. The other is going to be likely the last week of March, and it's going to be a paint to pill bottle event, very similar to a paint sip, but designed to reduce stigma on taking medication for mental health. Let me know if you want to help out with either of those. Meeting with Joey from IT this week, alongside Vice President Tripp to learn how we can use the SharePoint site for the syllabus repository. I'll hopefully have an update for you guys next week on that. And then I'm also attending an event for ISA tomorrow to discuss opportunities to get involved with university and a report.
Moving on to Advisor to Student Government.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say thanks to all those who put together the debate last night. I think you did a great job. I'm very proud of everyone who was participating. That's very nice. Also, I can't highlight enough the importance of the retreat. The retreat is something that we used to do every year in student government. And as several people have mentioned, we haven't done it in a very long time. Usually the biggest team builder of the year for student government is the concert because it's stressful and a lot of work and a lot of things. And we're not going to have that this year because Miles has removed all the stress. So instead of that, you can take the retreat time to get to know each other better and work together and things like that. So I think it's a really good idea. If you can change your schedules around and make it happen, I think it's something that you will all benefit for, and it's something that you should hopefully we'll get back on the schedule every year. And then this is a completely unrelated announcement that I should save to the end, but you're having executive session, so I won't be here at the end. I don't usually just stump for one group's activities, but next Thursday, Alpha Phi does Mac and Fees, which is this a big event at OBC that raises money for charity, but also has mac and cheese from every single place in the greater Bangor area that sells it. And you pay like $10 to eat it. And I am going with a bunch of students. And if you'd like to join us, please do. 5 to 7.
Perfect. All right. Before we open the questions, I was gonna say, I forgot to mention that we will be having a executive session tonight. Just so everybody's aware, just to reiterate. On top of that, if for any reason too, you are unable to get through to a chair about their times and committees and whatnot, please let me know and I will promptly solve the issue. Any questions for the execs? Unfortunately, limited to members. Any questions for the execs? Seeing none, we will now move into periodic reports. Again, if you are the chair of a committee, please be sure to give your times and where you meet. And if you don't have that information yet, please make sure you get into the chat by the end of the week. We will start with the faculty, senate, and student representatives.
Questions are open to non-members and representative reports.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and I am sorry. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my question is for VPSO Over. Is there a club of the week this week?
What a great question. No, not particularly because, I didn't prepare one because I forgot to ask my committee about that. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions for the execs?
Actually, point of privilege, I forgot to say when my committee meets, EDC meets at 4 p.m. on Mondays. It's more of a rigid structure than other committees in that we have 4 elected voting senators and Vice President Tripp, Vice President Ober, and President Delord are all required to serve on my committee, as their job descriptions. But if anyone is interested in attending that is not an elected senator, I'm more than happy for you to come and stop by and observe. You just won't be able to vote. So if people are interested in coming to EDC, please send me a message, and we can definitely work something out and you can come anyways and sort of contribute your voice. So I have no problem with that.
It's my privilege. Ditto what Vice President Allen said, except for that my committee meets Wednesdays from 3 to 4. But same thing, there's 4 elected officers and sometimes we'll conflict out if you have a club that you're a part of.
Advisor Sedella.
This is totally off topic, but I'm gonna go wash my hands and then I'm going to pass out the cake. So when I come around to you, just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you want one.
Perfect. All right. Senator Martin. Oh, what flavor is the cake? I genuinely don't know. So we're all gonna find out together. It'll be a little surprise. All right. Any further questions for the execs? Seeing none, we will move on to periodic reports, starting with the faculty, senate, student representative.
No report.
All right. University of Maine Board of Trustees, student representatives.
Hello. The onboarding information that isn't really relevant to anyone except for me, I got that sorted out. So I now have the rep onboarding packet from the board side. And there's a cool document in it that's a summary of an outside study done on the entire university system that is very, very long. But any questions you have about who manages what exactly and how they're hired and really anything is in that document. So if anyone's interested, I can share that with them. Another document that I have is the investment meeting materials. That's 200 pages long and it's not my strong suit and I don't really understand it, but if anyone does and wants to read it, it's on the board website or you can ask me for it. And then I was going to talk about Kelly Sparks' dining survey, but she did a more thorough job than I was going to. So end of report.
Chair of the Fair Election Practices Commission.
My committee meets on 12:15 at Fridays. So if you want to come, or you just want to chat with me about election stuff, or you want to chat with me about my job, or if you're in a campaign and you want to chat with me about that, feel free to come at 12:15 on Friday in the offices. There was a debate done. We filmed it. It has been sent to me, and then I'm gonna send it to Riley to put it on the election webpage, which me and Riley, this was on purpose, so we spent a bunch of time this weekend like going over like the language that's gonna be on the election webpage, there's like a countdown. We're gonna like import the link for like Walford State, we don't have to go to like a separate, and then I'm planning with Hope tomorrow, I'm making an election video that's very short and very fast. I spent a lot of time this week building the Qualtrics stuff with Jeff and like holding bios and headshots and making sure everything's good. I edited my budget with EBC, and Paige just moved money from flyers to food. The ballot needs to be decided publicly, but like the order of which people go first in the ballot needs to be decided publicly, so that's happening tonight. And then next week, I'm going to contact every single student via email about voting. And then I'm gonna contact every single school or department from political science to new media about getting their students to vote. And then I'm also going to contact every single person that runs like a student organization that is affiliated or has ever been affiliated with student government about getting all their members to vote. So hopefully that should do the trick. And then inauguration planning is going well. Dean Dan is going to speak. Lori Fidelco is also going to speak. And I'm helping like pick out a bunch of food with Pam because I have a couple $100 for that. And yeah, I already said my office hours, so that's the end of my report.
Moving on to student legal representative.
Not much for me. Sean is continuing to look at the medical amnesty program, in terms of maybe what should be changed or how can we better advertise to students. Also, you guys are probably the largest and most diverse group of students that I get the chance to address. So if you have thoughts on like what areas of the law, like your students, your friends need help with, or how to advertise that to them, really appreciate it. So send me an email or Google chat.
Representative, oh, never mind, let's take it. Orono Town Council Liaison.
Okay, so as previously reported a couple weeks ago, the Orono City Council was looking for a student to sit on the town manager search advisory committee to find a new town manager after the previous one was dismissed. I applied for the position and I've been recently notified that I have been appointed to that committee. The committee of 10 with 2 alternates will meet 4 times between March and April to discuss candidates.
Old Town City Council Liaison. Representative of Military and Veteran Student Affairs.
Hi, I finally got in contact with the section again via email. Some things have changed because the flags are not gonna be in time before school is out. So any efforts I have for a volunteership is going to not involve the flags, but I also have an offer for anyone who's still in Maine by the time there's Memorial Day. I'm currently putting together the court board set up in the Veterans Lounge. I finally got all the stuff last night and I'm gonna have to find some of the glue stick, but I'm putting it together. I had my first meeting with the ROTC students by the woods by the rec center on Monday. That went really, really well. I was afraid that they weren't gonna say anything back to me, but they're all really smiling, which was appreciative. I appreciated that. And one of the biggest issues that they brought up to me during my introductory speech thing was that they have to carry, like for that lab that I went before, they have to carry like 50-pound packs all the way up from the field house. And so they prefer to like drive their cars up, but there's never parking there. So I know that the park's a big issue. So that's just one of the things that they brought up to me. I've been in contact with Tony Lorena, who's part of the vets program, who took over Nora Jones' job. And I have a meeting with him tomorrow regarding different resources for vets and military personnel on campus. And I don't have a committee.
All right, Director of Communications.
I have been working on getting the job descriptions ready to be put up on CareerLink. Those will be up soon, and I'll also be working on advertising those on social media. Also working on marketing materials for the upcoming comedy show. As well as helping Chairman Olson with advertising material for the election and making that video to get the word out as much as we can. And then as VP Tripp mentioned, the email for Senate is up and the YouTube channel is created. Next steps are working with DOT rules to get the videos up and then launch.
All right, Director of Technology, do we have that report?
I have that report. He says, howdy y'all. Sorry I couldn't be here tonight, but I've been pretty under the weather lately. To keep things short, I'll give you the bullet points on what I've been up to. First of all, I contacted IT and the camera for our Zoom sessions should now be fixed. I hope. Lovely. And then second, I made an elections page, woo, check it out. Third, big shout out to DOC Carol for making our new YouTube account, as well as Vice President Tripp for helping us get in touch with the administration with a new email. This is a project I've been planning to do since the beginning of the fall semester and have been working on with DOC Carol and Vice President Tripp and other execs for months. And I'm glad we finally have one. Now it's time to start uploading. This week, I hope to work with Vice President Over on improving the club update process, at least on our website, as well as look into integrating our live Zoom meetings. Lastly, thank you VP Over for reading my report, you the bomb, end of report.
University of Maine Security Representative.
So there's no security meeting until tomorrow, so I don't have a lot to report, but I'm super excited to just be able to serve you guys in this capacity, and if anyone has any questions that they want brought forth and information that they want me to relay, just reach out.
All right, Center for the Undergraduate Research Liaison.
No report.
All right, are there any questions for the speakers? Vice President Over.
The question directed at the PC chairperson. Are you only reaching out to CLES students, and if so, like departments only wise?
No. Those are just like, I just meant like political science through new media, but also everyone. Those are just like some of the ones I read off. I just meant like a wide range.
Okay, lovely. I guess next.
Vice President Over.
This is directed at Senator Shallardine. I have a glue stick and about every other arts and crafts supply you could ever need in your life, and I'd love to coordinate and help you decorate that board.
Senator Martel.
Just a point of privilege, do one person liaison and representative positions need to office hours?
Liaison and just chairs. Yep. Representative Guzman.
Yeah, question there to FBPC Chair Olson. When it comes to the ballot, like I've never voted before.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the ballot, it's gonna be, the president-elect, the VP, the person you're electing. But would it be like an actual election where you just put other?
Yeah, you can do writing candidates. I designed it so that like, if someone was running against Keegan, if they're another presidential candidate, it would say like Keegan, and then there would be another bubble that when you can start typing in it, either on your phone or on your laptop. So there is like another part. You don't have to like do a separate write-in thing.
Okay.
I don't think that answered, did it answer?
I'm telling you, like, would it work like an actual election where if you don't want, all right, this is gonna sound bad, but if you don't want to choose.
If you don't want to choose A or B, can you choose C?
Like, if you don't want to choose Keegan to be the next president of student government, can you say, oh, I want this person? Oh, yeah, you can. That's crazy. Okay.
If you wanted to.
That.
I just wanted to know if that was an option.
Yes, for every like ballot choice, there's everyone that's running officially, and then there's also a write-in option. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's the.
Senator Oldfield.
This kind of is just dittoing what Over said, but I also have a good say and would love to help you out.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we will move into reports of standing committees, starting with marketing and public relations.
I'll set a time for this Wednesdays at 2 in my office. If you want to talk about marketing and promotional stuff, we need ideas, suggestions you have. Or if you want to talk about my job position. And
Membership, does anybody have that report? Going once, going twice. Policy and procedure.
So this Friday, there was no policy and procedure meeting because there weren't enough senators to really vote on business. That wasn't a super big deal because the business that's still on the table isn't super urgent. So this Friday, hopefully we can discuss the APPSC's resolution to honor some of the standing rules. What else is there?
Yeah, the only thing on the agenda was something from a couple weeks ago, the act to revise the hiring policies of UMSG. The reason that took so long was because of a stipulation that it had to be reviewed by Sean first, which it has, but it wasn't early enough to be last week, so now it's on next week. And the only other thing I have to report is Jeff advised me that this semester's Senate evaluations should probably happen a week earlier than constitutionally they're supposed to, just because of how busy that meeting's gonna be, so that's what I'm aiming for. And as for the polyhedral meetings, they're at 1 p.m. on Fridays down in the government chambers. And
Political activism.
All right, the college Democrats are continuing to prepare for the March 5th vote on moving the ballot date in November. They will be tabling in support of the question's passage and will potentially be gathering signatures for Senate candidate David Costello on the same day. That's Thursday. September 2 in the Union. I've been in contact with the leadership of both the college Republicans as well as the college Libertarians. Both are intending to focus on building stronger membership bases for the semester ahead and beyond. Recently, the college Republicans attended the Penobscot County GOP Lincoln Day dinner and hope to attend more local GOP meetings throughout the year. Later this week, the Libertarian Party of Maine will be holding a community meeting concurrently with the College Libertarians weekly meeting at 6 p.m. in DPC room 109. All who are interested are welcome to attend. That's also Thursday. I know some members have contacted me about serving on my committee. I haven't yet responded. I apologize for that. I don't currently have a meeting time, but I will have them posted in the chat and sent to the relevant members promptly. Please don't yell at me and VP Trick. Thank you.
Excellent. That's all I ask. Next, services.
No report, but services meet at Thursdays at 1 in the Barrington. You can show up if you want, and if you want to be on the loop, send me an email, tell me, and I'll add you to the Google space.
All right, are there any questions for our speakers in this section? Going once, going twice, moving on to report of special committees, starting with academic affairs. Does anybody have that report?
I have that report.
Excellent.
Okay, working on projects. Department funding, equitable access, academic probation. I have collected letters and testimony from microbiome students who are impacted by cuts to their department. No one can tell me about new transcript software and I cannot find who originally told me. Does anyone have a lead? Let me know. Live, laugh, love, go Blackbears.
Student mental health committee.
Hi, everyone. I have a pretty brief report today. To start off, I have confirmed when the mental health committee will be meeting. Now that we have confirmed a location to meet, we will be meeting in the Mind Spa, which is room 151 here in Memorial Union on Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. Additionally, there are a few upcoming events that I would like to highlight and keep you in the loop about. First, it was asked that I share some information about an event that SLO will be hosting titled Fresh Check Day, which will focus on mental health activities, games, and resources, including education around suicide prevention. This event is on March 1st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and there will be the opportunity to win prizes, including a Kindle, a Nintendo Switch, AirPod, Bose headphone, and more. I'd also like to take a moment to encourage you to check out some of the Wilson Center's events, which would align with improving mental health, notably meditation, which is on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. The dinner and dialogue this week with Black Bear Mutual Aid, this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. and the Move and Connect event, Journey Dance, this I wrote down Saturday, but I believe it's Sunday. I think that's a typo. Lastly, I would encourage you all to please soak up some sunlight as the days get longer, rest and rejuvenate at this busy time of the semester with the midterms coming up and so gently.
Undergraduate Student Symposium Committee.
No report. Committee meets Mondays at 3 o'clock in the Senate chambers.
Excellent. Food and dining affairs. Does anybody have that report? I have another question. Who's brought the pizza? If not, okay, understood. Thank you for that. Are there any questions for the speakers? Going once, going twice. Moving on to representative board reports, starting with commuter and non-traditional students.
Hey guys, how's it going?
One of the things I was hired for when I became the CANS representative was for recruitment and retention. Out of the 26 people who are part of our Google chat, we have around 12 who attend meetings. Thank you. It's a little less than one out of every 2 people I've talked to, and I am still in the process of recruiting more members. I had an interview with the Maine campus, which I do want to thank Senator Warren for making that connection. I also want to go to a bunch of clubs and talk to them. I feel like the success for recruitment has been networking. So if there's any clubs that want to host the CANS representative for 5 to 10 minutes, please let me know. Beyond that, I think I might have mentioned this last meeting, but a suggestion box was created in the Waite Center. If you have any stuff you want to tell CANS, feel free to leave a suggestion. Thursday, we are having a pizza day. So please stop by. We're hoping to bring in more people. We're looking at 10 pizzas in the Waite Center. We are working with the CNTSP for First Friday Bagels. And CANS is looking at creating a Bangor liaison position within the CANS group. We're hoping to appoint Senator Martone. We also had a new advertisement flyer, which I want to thank Director Carroll for. And while there is a couple stuff that CANS is working on, I feel that for the length of the meeting and saving time, there's no need to tell it right now. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for your time.
Honor College Student Activities Board.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna be as quick as possible because there is a lot and I got updates about not even 2 hours ago, so there we go. May Day meal pack out, March Madness donations are going to be started for the month of March. We're probably going to start them right before spring break starts, so I assume the Friday before, March 8th. So pay attention to that. There will be emails that we'll be sending out to individuals to send families and departments. It's basically just to get more money for the meal pack out to get more meals. I made a suggestion to Dr. Brophy in our meeting last week about visiting the 112 lecture, as the freshman class does not know what May Day meal pack out is, nor do they know what a Main Day is technically. And because everything has changed, I wanted to get them kind of hyped up for it. So I will be going with Senator Warren, and that'll be April 9th. Next week on March 7th, a couple of us are going to the Rotary Club of Old Town to present about the May Day meal pack out. And we will be also be doing more raffle tabling tomorrow and Thursday. Tomorrow is from 9 to 4 p.m. and Thursday is from 12 to 3 in the Union by the Union Central and Cafe area. I also don't know if I said this last week. We made $196 at our very first day tabling, so that's really exciting. I don't know if I said that, but that's awesome. As for Honors College, I got yelled at to mention that the Resendiz ethics essay was due yesterday, so all those submissions are going in. Those will be looked at and announced hopefully in the near future. I'm not sure what the date is for that. There is also an Honors College collab with SAB for the Toast Party, and that's going to be March 6th. Those went out in the Honors Weekly, so be very excited for that. And possibly the biggest one coming up is March 20th. We will be doing a spring self-care with Swell. It's going to be our first big collaboration outside of the Honors College. We'll be doing rock painting and other things. And also there is a to be determined at the moment for making plans with a possible DEI training for the Honors College. End of report.
Interfraternity Council, does anybody have that report? Going once, going twice. Panhellenic Council, I have that report. Representative Blanchette says we will be having our first philanthropy event on March 19th from 4 to 8 p.m. It is a fundraiser at Texas Roadhouse where 10% of each check goes to the Circle of Sisterhood. If you want the flyer for it, please reach out to me. Thank you. We'll now move on to Senior Class Council.
So last week I said the Chick-fil-A fundraiser was Tuesday, March 4th. If anybody noticed, March 4th is actually a Monday. So we checked with Chick-fil-A because they were the one that told us that day and actual date. It's actually really Monday, March 4th, not Tuesday, from 4 to 8. So everyone better go now. We just posted our senior week events on our Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, I'll post them in our Senate space. But that will be advertised all throughout campus. And there's 67 days until graduation. End of report.
Student Athletic Advisory Council.
I have that report. Hi, I will be missing the student government meeting this Tuesday because I will be attending the scholar athlete ceremony. There will be a SAAC meeting on the first Monday of March, which is the 4th, as just discussed. Today there is a scholar athlete ceremony that celebrates athletes with high GPAs. Hockey and basketball, along with other winter sports, are beginning to transition to postseason play, and spring sports are beginning to start up. Baseball looks to get another American East Championship and play in the College World Series. Thank you, in the report.
Excellent. Do we have any questions for those speakers? Representative Levesque.
Point of privilege, I forgot to mention when SAB meets, we meet on Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. I know it's late, apologies. And I have office hours on Mondays in Estabrook from 11 to 12, if anybody is interested. That's it.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we will move on to community association reports, starting with Student Heritage Alliance Council.
Oh, yeah, short report this week, guys. At the last SHAC meeting, we invited, candidates, candidates Keegan Tripp, and Memphis Peterson to sit at the SHAC table, where some good facilitation and discussion was present. I felt like the constituency felt like it was productive, in terms of conversation and kind of direction in which both candidates were going, towards. Besides that, SHAC finally has access to their email now, so that's fun, finally SHAC meetings, so that's exciting. And SHAC meetings are Wednesdays, 4 to 5, they're closed door, open to only SHAC members, but if you would like to sit at a meeting, email me and we can talk. Yeah, that's all, and you're the fun.
All right, moving on to the Feminist Collective.
Hi, everyone. I will try to keep it short today. I don't have a lot of new updates, so I'm just gonna let you know some of the stuff we've done recently. There are 2 events that have happened recently that I want to mention, including a recent collaboration as well, titled Creating Connections to Allow Art and Healthy Relationship. FEMC has also recently streamed the film Vagina Monologues with Triota, and we will be continuing to plan a student-led performance of the Vagina Monologues in the upcoming weeks. We plan to host this performance during the first week of April, and I believe I will have access to the Google form sent to me by Triota member Charlie Hall to share with any of you who may be interested in auditioning. And I'm hoping I should have that by our next Senate meeting. More information will be coming soon as plans are underway. Additionally, we have some more events planned for further out in the semester, but I won't go in depth with any of that right now, just because want to keep it short on time, but I will provide more updates as some of those events come closer. So stay excited for that and report.
We'll move on to Wildfire.
All right, last time you have to hear me say it, this Thursday, February 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. is the Drag Show Student Audition. It's in the IMRC room 104. Video auditions are also available upon request. Beginners are welcome. Additionally, we now have our lineup of our professional performers for the show. We'll all given confirmation and I passed their information over to Sean, who can start working on the actual contracts. Other than that, the drag show is Saturday, March 30th at 7 p.m. in CCA, mark the calendars and report.
All right, moving on to the International Student Association.
Good evening, everyone. So first off, I have office hours. Yay! I am gonna be at the Wake Center from 1 to 4 on Wednesdays. I know it's like a big swath of time, but still I'll be in that area. So if you want meetings or just want to talk, I will be there. As many of you know, last Saturday, ISA held our 20th annual International Dance Festival at CCA with 20 performances and around 60 people taking part of it. These are but not limited to Ireland, which was done by a local middle school in Bangor. That was fun. The music is catchy. Turkey, Azerbaijan / Kurdistan, India, and the Philippines. Me personally, I was in Cambodia, Turkey, Denmark, and the Philippines. So for those of you who have been up there, you might have seen me. In terms of what, excuse me. We had 13 people come to the events, 800 people coming at the afternoon show, and 500 in the evening show. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Many had shown up, were alumni, and many of which are also alumni of the International Dance Festival, like going all the way back to 2007. This is also including the Capoeira, which was the Brazilian group that was on stage. So there was that. And as a little final note in terms of it, we had $300 raised for concessions, and we're just gonna be putting those funds back into performance costs. So, and as it's a little bit of an aside, thank you again to anyone and everyone who has came in on Saturday. I saw Michael, Keegan, Vice President Chaplin, and many others. Again, thank you so much for spreading the word and coming yourselves. This is an event that is very near and dear to my heart, and it makes it just as much as special when we're hearing your reactions and seeing your reactions to these performances. So again, thank you so much. In relation to upcoming events, ISA is partnering with Vice President Chaplin for Take the Lead, which is designed to build leadership skills and increase representation for ISA students and encourage just a general student population in terms of leadership. This event will be taking place in Bangor Room tomorrow from 1 to 2. So get excited for that. This is a very special event because we have one UMaine alumnus from the class of 2007, which that graduated from the with a dual degree from engineering and business departments by the name of Pranyat Chandrasekhar from Bangalore, India. Surprisingly enough, he is also a former UMSG member serving as president from 2006 to 2007 in his senior year. He worked closely with university officials to pass significant policy changes, which is including the extra move-in day and move-out day for seniors. So for anyone who sees the chaos that comes out on Friday, you have him to thank. In terms of other significant policies that he's done improvements on lighting as well as implementing meal plan changes. And he has done this all while being an RA, serving as president for multiple organizations like ISA and SAM and at a Kappa Nu. Hope I said that right. I will be in attendance with events, so as well as Representative Chaplin, and I encourage all of you, if you can come, great. If you aren't able to come, invite some people, the more the merrier. And yeah, end of the report.
All right. Are there any questions for the speakers?
Actually, what a privilege, privilege that being said. Yeah, yeah, actually, I will also be sitting a part of that panel tomorrow.
Cool. All right. Any other points of privilege and or questions? Going once, going twice. If it's the pleasure of the Senate, we will be entering our 5-minute recess, coming back at 7:26. All right, I call this meeting back to order. I am now entertaining the approval of the Senator Peterson.
To approve the consent agenda.
If that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We will now be moving into new business, starting with 45 SEBC 027, an act to allocate funds to Black Bear Beekeepers for $1,739.99. Do we have a speaker?
Yeah.
Excellent. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kalina. I'm the patron of the Black Bear Beekeepers. I'm gonna try to keep this short because y'all are busy and there's like 5 minutes left. So, basically, the Black Bear Beekeepers is a club that is open to everyone, all of the UMaine students. And we teach you and educate those on how to beekeep and how to take care of bees in a like safe and fun way. We work directly with the Black Bear Exchange. We donate a lot of our honey to them and a lot of our products. We are currently implementing a beekeeping class, which we hope to get accredited next year. But right now, it's just a class that is open to all of UMaine and also all of the public. And another cool thing that we're doing is we are now a B campus, which means we're nationally accredited, as a B campus in the United States. And it's a really cool connection with other campuses that have the same, hopes and aspirations as the BPD Club. Okay, so anyways, that's a little bit about us. Today, we're asking for a couple of things. We're asking for, bees, or 2 nukes and 1 pack of bees, which are to restore the hives that we lost this past winter. So we lost a few hives, and so the 2 nukes and 1 pack would just basically restore what we already lost. We are asking for an oxalic acid vaporizer, which I have some notes for. Basically, the current system that we have is a wand that is like held together by cables to a heavy battery, and is like not super great to use. It's extremely bulky, heavy, and very time consuming, and it takes 4 to 5 hours to spray the whole yard, basically, so we can reduce the pest in our bee yard. The vaporizer that we're asking for, listed in the request, has a portable electric drill type battery, and it's much more efficient and well safer ergonomically. The device would allow the club to treat the whole yard, in the amount of time that the current system would treat up to 2 hives, while significantly reducing the potential for strain injury to the club members. That's the oxalic vaporizer, the oxalic acid vaporizer. Unfortunately, that oxalic acid vaporizer does not come with batteries, so we were also asking for batteries. The manufacturer of the unit does not provide batteries for the device. We can just get it from Lowe's or Home Depot or some other local supplier. The listed item and cost is for a kit that includes 2 batteries, a charging unit, and a carrying storage bag. And lastly, we're asking for an observation hive, which is used for events such as the annual organization fair. I'm sure some of you guys stopped by the table. You saw all the bees escaping from our freaking, it was kind of a disaster. Our observation hive had a lot of holes. So it basically showcases what a bee colony looks like in a hive. Our current observation hive, like I said, is in a state of extreme wear and is warped in crucial spots. So for the safety of the people around the observation hive and for the bees, the current observation hive is incapable of maintaining its function and should be replaced before the next event. So yeah, that is what we are currently asking for.
Perfect. All right, do we have any questions for the speaker? Going once, going twice. All right, what is the committee's recommendation?
601 Austin House.
Senator Peterson,
I move to accept the committee's recommendation.
Second.
if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We'll now move into a period for discussion. Vice President Allen.
Just a quick point of privilege, the resolution has the correct numbers, the agenda, the number for one of the numbers is off. It should be $645, the vaporizer itself for $495, vaporizer batteries for $300, and an observation hive for $299.99. The resolution is correct, it's just been misprinted on the agenda.
Perfect. Any other points for discussion? Debate. Vice President Chaplin.
I think this is one of the coolest clubs that we have on campus, one of the coolest ones that we get to support every year. It's a really cool opportunity to be able to go and learn how to be a beekeeper. It's not really something you expect to participate in on college campus. And they don't really request that much money from us every year, so definitely think that we should access.
Representative Demership.
My grandfather had bees, so I understand, bee health is very crucial in maintaining hives because he had like consistently lost hives every single winter, just due to the fact that he did not have the technology that, the speaker is asking for, so if, I would definitely be in favor for voting for this bill, if it comes to pass for the cabinet.
Vice President Allen.
I also forgot something during discussion. This is roughly half of the operating budget for the Black Bear beekeepers for the semester. So they do cover around half of their own expenses.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed, all those abstaining, seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. All right, we will now be moving on to 45S POL 25, an act to revise hiring practices of UMSG Inc. Do we have a speaker?
Also for them, it's like, you want me to just read them out loud, or like, I know we usually put them on like the screen.
Were they not printed?
Or, yeah, they're printed out.
Okay, everybody look at the paper.
No, it's fine.
The floor is yours.
So essentially this resolution here would address, with the hiring policies of UMSG Inc. I feel as it currently stands that while senators do have a strong say on the hiring policies, they're a little disconnected from the community that actually hires, the people. And I feel like this resolution would, main point is to, I'll go through some of the changes, but the main point is to better connect senators to the hiring committee. The first change is essentially, you see, is essentially, it's the same as in the original hiring policy manual, but essentially saying senators can join on or participate in hiring committees. Another part that was changed, it originally said if there are fewer than 2 or more than, and it was 3 before, but we changed it to 5 to allow more people to be on the committee. And the second part, which would be changed, would be addressing senators who are actually serving on committees. So it says a single senator can only serve on 2 hiring committees within a year. Furthermore, senators should be given first priority over 1 seat on the hiring committee in the event there are senators willing and available. Essentially saying that if a senator wants to serve on a hiring committee, they get a priority in 1 seat on the hiring committee. And then the last part is about the Senate will be provided with the cover letter and resume upon consideration of the chosen applicant. So pretty self-explanatory. And that's essentially what it entails. If you have any questions.
Yeah, do we have questions for the speaker? Vice President Chaplin.
If we're talking about like prioritizing people for hiring committees, why aren't we prioritizing the person who's like held the position before?
So the original proposal, or the original, it's not, there's nothing that says in the original hiring policies about people who are in the position or who originally held the position being prioritized. This would just be adding that senators will prioritize. We're not cutting out anything that says people who are in the position before.
Yeah, Vice President Chaplin.
So why do you think senators should be prioritized more than the person who held the position before to like make that decision?
I think it would just be important to have a senator representation. I think the person on the position who really held the position already has a lot of influence upon it. So I think giving senators, if they want to be part of it, it wouldn't be, senators wouldn't be like neglected from it if they would want to be on it.
Senator Kemper.
I'm so a little confused about the wording of that, just because the given priority over 1 seat, does that mean only 1 seat on the hiring committee has that sort of sense of priority? Or is it like any senator that wants to be a part of the committee up to the allowable number, like automatically has priority for the seats?
It's essentially only 1 seat would be like, there could be more than 1 senator who serves on a committee essentially, but saying for at least 1 seat would be prioritized.
Great. Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
301 ought to pass as amended with stipulation, which has been fulfilled.
I am looking for a motion. Senator Warren.
I motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
All right, that's the pleasure of the Senate. That's adopted. We'll now move into a period for discussion. Senator Peterson.
So part of this process, it was passed polypro with the stipulation that our attorney Sean Amora give his 2 cents on it. The notes that I was given, it says the only issue I see is that B in that section limits the hiring committees to not more than 3. This is primarily to ease scheduling. In the suggested resolution, it appears to attempt to raise the max to 5, in which case B should also be amended. The way that we have generally functioned has been that the president has put people on committees, and then if they didn't want to be on the committee, they can back out. So not exactly what was written in the policies, but it was expedient for scheduling and still went with the spirit of the volunteering system. Under a strict reading of the present rules and under this amendment, the president would only appoint if there were less than 2 volunteers or more than 5. Meaning anyone volunteering under that would automatically be appointed. I don't have a particular issue with it either way. I just wanted to clarify that. There are no particular issues with senators or volunteer boards of director members, as you really are being.
Any other points for discussion? Vice President Wilbur.
This would not only affect executive hiring committees, but I, as UPSL, often go through hiring processes, as you've seen, me bring people to the Senate, so just keep that in mind.
Perfect. Any other points for discussion? Going once, going twice, debate. Senator Bohm.
So I was part of the polypro committee that voted on this. One of the key points of contention was the priority statement. It was originally set to just any senator would have priority over any position that was held, and then we brought it back down to 1. I personally feel like priority is a bit much in general. I feel like it could be removed if the Senate so wished. But other than that, I feel like the increase in the maximum limit helps allow senators to have more participation, and I feel like it's good to have a cover letter and resume, just when we're interviewing, if we want to hire someone.
Senator Waters.
We have a really beautiful, strong Senate this year. You had to ask people to keep their reports shorter. That is awesome. Senators are engaged. Let's make sure senators can be engaged in every way of our organization. And in particular, if this follows a nonprofit model of an organization, on a lot of nonprofits, people that are in the board of directors, which is how senators serve, can participate in hiring processes for that organization. So I think it puts us in a standard with other nonprofits, but it's also just a great practice to start, given how much of an involved Senate we have. And then if there's ever that case where we have a less involved Senate in the future, it's not required that a senator is on these hiring committees, so we can still function as an organization.
Vice President Ober.
I appreciate Article 7, Section 3 changes to the Senate will be provided the cover letter and resume. I think that's a great thing that we could do rather than just bringing in these names that you may not know. But as somebody who holds hiring committees, I think it gets dicey when you have senators voting on representatives within the hiring process. Oh my God, FEBC Chair Olson and I had to hold a hiring process for the CANS job. And again, we did that as fast as possible. And we obviously got a great candidate from it. But it will be tricky to open these up to senators, especially when we're doing 10 hiring committees in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, I know that.
Great. Representative DeMerchant.
Yeah, to add on with, my apologies, Ms. O'Bear, Senator O'Bear, my apologies.
Vice President.
Excuse me, to add on to Senator O'Bear's concerns, with the ISA's predicaments that had happened over the course of beginning of the semester, it would be very concerning about how, if another organization, another organization had been dealing with issues taking place and having a succession crisis. And then once we do have someone that is willing to step up and take in that leadership, it further gets delayed by that. So that's one of my concerns by it, just adding up with what Senator O'Bear had mentioned. Vice President, I'm sorry.
Senator wow, okay. Elfield, I don't know where that came from. Oldfield.
It's my understanding that with this resolution, it would not slow down any hiring processes because we're not required to have a senator on the hiring committee. So if there is not a senator that can attend all the meetings and is not available for the hiring committees that are scheduled, how they're scheduled, it would just be a seat filled by one of the executive board members that's able to make those hiring committee meetings. And recommend, if I'm wrong, Senator Minshew,
I don't think there would be any sort of slowing down of the process. It just gives senators the opportunity to be more engaged in hiring all the people that we're learning all our information from, and I think that's really valuable, as we've seen when we go into these hiring. Like during the Senate, when we go into these hiring meetings, a lot of us often feel like we don't have the information we want, and I think this gives us another way to get that information more easily and more available to us.
President Lorsch.
The first resolve statement, increasing the number of folks who serve on the hiring committee from at least 2 or maximum of 3 to maximum of 5 is simply like in line with something that we've done since I've been in student government, where past presidents have created committees of up to 5 people. And I think that is ultimately the president's discretion, how many people they choose to put on the hiring committee. I think personally that 3 is a good number because it's an odd number, which eliminates the possibility of a tie for a hiring committee recommendation going to Senate. But I think increasing it to 5 was just wise for the future. The last resolve statement, amending Article 7, Section 3, that the Senate will be provided a cover letter and resume, I think is a welcomed change. As president, that's something I'm happy to facilitate this year when we get into the hiring process. And that brings me to my last point, which has been mentioned, but I really want to highlight this so everyone understands. The Senate, UMSG Senate, is the final arbiter of deciding who is and is not hired in this organization. That's how it is, and that's how it's always been. So adding a position or adding a spot for a senator on a committee, I think is a welcome change. That's up to you if you'd like to add that. But I do just want to reiterate that no matter what happens with this resolution, the Senate is the final decider of who is and is not hired for a position. And I think that that decision will be better facilitated with a cover letter and a resume. So I think those 2 changes are welcome.
Senator Kemper.
Information, will the cover letter and resume be provided exclusively in executive session?
Yes.
Any further, Vice President Chaplin?
I just want to say like the prioritization one kind of like is kind of confusing for me on this, like. Right now, as President Lorsch said, like the senators are the kind of, the senators have absolutely all the power when it comes to hiring. I don't get to go to them at all unless I'm on the hiring committee. And like senators right now, like it can, the way this is written, it can end up bogging down our hiring process and making it take longer, because the way that it works is if any senator comes here and says that they want to volunteer for a position, they get the prioritization seat. Then we choose times based off of availability for the hiring committees. If we have like 8 applicants, we're talking about 8 30-minute time periods that we need to find spots that senators match up with everyone else's. And I'm saying it in that way because all the execs already have 10 hours blocked out where they're in the office, and that is often when we end up already having hiring committees take place. And with the like, I think adding senators as a possibility to be on the committees, I think that's a great idea, and I think that's awesome for when senators want to do that. I just am really confused by the prioritization thing. I really don't think that that's necessary. I think that like, I can't imagine a situation where a bunch of senators are genuinely excited about joining hiring committees and they go to the president and then the president just ignores them. I can't imagine that happening and then that this Senate letting that continue. Like there are ways that people can be held accountable in the moment when that happens. So I just think that prioritization line should be taken out, and we should just have it be with everything else there, having senators, expanding the amount, etc.
Representative Friend.
Hey everyone, I appreciate your time. In terms of the word priority, that's kind of on me. I mentioned it in Polypro. We were discussing the idea of priority seating in which this position would be offered to a senator before anything else. We wanted to ensure that a senator could be on the hiring committee. So in terms of the word priority, that is on me. But the idea is to give Senate more power. And as President Lorsch has said, we're pretty much an upside down pyramid where the senators hold the most power. I think this would be a welcome opportunity, but I do apologize for any confusion that was on me.
Senator Rocky.
In my opinion, given the fact that senators really hold final authority over who's hired or not, I don't think it's necessary for senators to be given priority. I think that it's important that senators have the opportunity to serve on hiring committees if they wish, but I don't see the need for provision for priority. In my opinion.
Vice President Allen.
I'd just like to reiterate the suggested change by President DeLorge from 2 to 3 people. At a minimum, I would really strongly encourage someone to make a motion to change it to 3 people. I think 2 people is not enough people to have on a hiring committee. You want diverse perspectives in hiring. And I think 2 people just simply isn't enough for a committee that's like a conversation, not a committee.
Quite privileged. I wasn't indicating that I have a preference for a change.
Senator Peterson.
So this is me talking as a senator and not as the polypro chair. I make it a point that during my policy and procedure meetings, I serve more as a moderator and facilitator of discussion and debate and keep myself completely detached from any of that. Because I'm also a senator and this is where I can get my. These past couple of weeks, the discussion and debate around these amendments to the policies have only muddled what the potential process could be, and I feel like the mental hoops that policy and procedures had to jump through to come to all these compromises it would literally only muddle and contrive hiring policies where there's nothing wrong with them. So, and just the entire point of putting senators on the hiring committees, since senators are already the board of directors and the final arbiters of these decisions, it would be a betrayal of the checks and balances of Student Government Inc. And I'm also not afraid to call out the somewhat, like I said, the potential for this, it only muddles and contracts the process and is a betrayal of checks and balances. I'll leave it at that.
Senator Crawford.
I make a motion to strike the line saying furthermore, a single senator can only serve on 2 hiring committees within a year. Furthermore, senators should be given first priority over 1 seat on the hiring committee in the event there are senators willing and available.
Motion is strike. All right, that needs a second.
Second.
All right, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's a done. You can call on, but it will go to a vote regardless. Okay. We will now move into a period for discussion on the amendment. Senator Waters.
In polypro, we talked about this quite a bit. Like Senator Peterson had said, and we came to the conclusion that this was the best compromise and middle point between senators always being the first priority for every seat on the hiring committee and them not given priority in the potential for it to become a policy that isn't practiced. Because if there is no accountability measure, this could become a policy that isn't practiced to its full extent. So I think we came to the best compromise already, so
That's debate. This is discussion.
Excuse me, sorry.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Debate. I can throw it back to you if you want.
Yeah, so I do not think that we should strike through, and I think we should be more purposeful with when we're strike throughing, that we don't get rid of the single senator can only serve on 2 hiring committees within a year. Because I think that is incredibly important for making sure that we have diverse hiring committees and not the same senator every single time.
Just to reiterate, you're looking at striking the entire second resolve section, correct? That was the motion made.
Just the line that senators should be given first priority.
Okay, so just that, over 1 seat on the hiring committee in the event there, okay, cool. For the debate, Senator Bohm.
I'm fully in support of this amendment. Like I mentioned earlier, I was against this in polypro. I feel like it does really muddle the waters. I feel like if we as the Senate right now are having a hard enough time understanding, I feel like future executive boards and presidents will also have a hard time understanding.
To clarify, the amendment is now just the final sentence in that section, not the final 2 sentences. So I think initially it was the final 2 sentences, that's an important distinction.
The motion is to strike from, I believe, furthermore to available. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. Is that correct? From furthermore to available.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it would only read, a single senator can only serve on 2 hiring committees within a year.
Yes.
All right, Senator Thompson.
Privilege, the motion was brought up as starting at the line, a single senator can only serve on 2 hiring committees.
Okay, therefore, if that's not what you want, you will have to kill it and make a new motion. That would have to go to a vote, that's the only way really to kill it, unless you want to amend an amendment, and we can get to a fun Robert's rules little hole, but that would be your call, and I could facilitate that if you wish, Senator Kemper.
I would like to kill this, please, this is my opinion, so I can.
Okay, and if somebody wanted to, all right, any other questions, comments, Senator Oldfield? All right, any other debate on the amendment that stands, which would be essentially striking the entire second resolve section? Any further debate? Going once, going twice, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the negative, that dies. We'll now move back to the resolution in full, Senator Kemper.
I move to strike the line that begins with furthermore and ends with available in the second section.
Second. All right, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. We'll now move into a period for discussion. Seeing none, debate. Senator Waters.
I said what I said. Said what I said.
Senator Rocky.
I appreciate the work that Polly Rose done in bringing this amendment forward. I'd like to reiterate that I think that senators have enough power as is, as they are the final hiring authority. I don't think there's any reason to give them more power by giving them priority in the hiring committee. I'm fully in support of the motion.
Representative Friend.
I would like to say that I do have utmost respect for Senator Memphis. He does have a lot of experience. This is a very qualified position to take for him. In terms of the actual resolution, I would encourage those who are opposing it to reconsider. I do feel that if this wasn't worth bringing forward, this wouldn't have come forward. I think this is a very valid concern from some of the senators, and thank you for your time.
Perfect. President Delors.
I would welcome senators to serve on hiring committees, and I would say that if this passes and you're a senator that is interested in serving on a hiring committee, you come to me, as I will be creating the hiring committees as president, and it is in my job description and in the hiring policies. I think if this is the will of the Senate, I am more than happy to include senators and educate senators who might not have served on a hiring committee before about the policies and answer any questions they might have. I'm happy to answer any questions about how this might procedurally happen, and I know Sean is here as well and probably would as well.
Vice President Chaplin.
Like, just from my understanding, if we're talking about the issue of like senators not being involved enough with the hiring process, which I disagree with, but if that's the issue we're facing, I don't see how including them and adding senators to hiring committees without the priority seat, I don't see how that doesn't solve the process. Like, if you're saying that doesn't solve the process and we can get the priority seat, like, we're basically saying that we're expecting the president to not include senators and to ignore senators' wishes in the next 12 months, and not just this presidents in the next couple of years. We're putting this in policy forever. Is that really the assumption we want to be making here tonight? That like the exec team is ignoring senator positions and senator inclusion? I think that's a little ridiculous in my opinion.
Senator McHugh.
I feel as people have brought up this muddle of the process, having a priority. The number of people on hiring committee has been expanded to 5, and as it stands, hiring committees have been functioning with 3 members. So I don't see how this would muddle it, because if there's 1 seat prioritized for a senator, like I said, it's been functioning with 3 before, and now it's at 5, so I feel like that would solve any sort of muddling.
And this is debate on the amendment, just to remind everybody. Representative Merchant.
Yeah, it's simply to add on to what Vice President Chaplin has stated. I mean, in relation to what we've had over like conversations for the last couple of weeks, I say it for myself, like as a representative, I usually give reports and I speak on behalf of students. But in terms of what I've been doing in terms of advocacy work for religious dietary restrictions, I've been told by some people that are serving on the General Student Assembly that I'm going above and beyond my duties. And Keegan, as well as President DeLorge, has entertained me and welcomed those ideas and my passion for it. So I'm, just staying in favor with Chaplin, Vice President Chaplin. Like the executive team hears us, they listen to us, and this is something that, quite frankly, I mean, I don't think the idea of some people having the idea that the executive team just doesn't have time. They have time. They have lots of time. I've talked to Keegan many times just for funsies or for work. So yeah.
Any further debate on the motion to amend? Senator Oldfield.
Privilege, can senators serve on hiring committees right now?
Right. Senator Kemper.
For the previous.
Second. All right. All those in favor of moving to previous? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative. All those in favor of striking from furthermore to available from the second resolve section? All those in favor? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7, my bad. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're joking. All right, all those abstaining?
So you have my hand, I raised it like a little bit later.
Okay, can you raise your hand again for opposed? Opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, is this opposing the amendment?
The amendment. This is the amendment. We're gonna redo this. Everybody's hands down, and please know how you're voting. All those in favor of striking from furthermore to available? 1.
Put your
2,
hands up high.
Hide, do not hide from me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right. All right. All those opposed to striking this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All those abstaining? 1. With a clear majority in the negative, that motion fails. We are back to discussing the motion as is. Senator Bone.
Debate.
Yep, we're in debate.
With that failing, I feel like senators do currently have enough power, like already. I feel like if you don't feel like you know enough, you haven't been asking the right questions during the like affirmation process. I feel like we are the final say. We may not know them well enough, but I feel like this just makes it way too complicated for future executive boards and presidents. And if you feel like the president hasn't been picking the right people to go on the board, then we have the ability to impeach him as a senator.
Representative Guzman.
Yeah, so just to go back to this. In my personal opinion, I feel like this resolution doesn't make sense. I think the only one thing that makes sense is like the cover and resume, like that's transparency. But when it comes to the hiring committee, when it comes to the executives, we have to realize that the Senate is the group that votes these executives in. And we have every ounce of power, or you guys have every ounce of power to fire the executive if you feel like they're not doing their job. And that's respectable. And I feel like if we didn't trust the execs to do their job and to put up a good candidate, like you could just oppose it. You could just fire an exec, like, just going down the table. I'm not gonna name names because that would be kind of weird, but like going down the table, we start from here to here, like all the execs, like you could just fire them. And I feel like the Senate just holds that ability to do that and that power to do that, so.
I'm gonna do a point of privilege. The Senate also has the ability to direct executives to do things. You do not have to fire them. Just so everybody knows. Senator Waters.
I think we keep talking about how the Senate has the final power, and that's probably true. The last step, not the last step, but one of the last steps of the hiring process is the Senate confirmation. But there's two different types of power. There's a creative power and then a voting power. And I think when senators aren't on the hiring committee, we lose the creative power of the hiring process to see who has like what different qualifications. Because as a senator, if I want to do projects, I work with the execs and I want to make sure that it's really cool that I would get to confirm an exec that is qualified. But maybe there's multiple qualified people applying, and I want to think that senators should have the power to decide what qualifications they value when it's coming to the Senate floor. So it's two different types of power. Yes, it's the final power, but it's not a creative power, and it's not a power that gives Senate the ability to control its organization.
Vice President Over.
I have a problem with this as vice president for student organizations. I think that this is unfair strictly to rep boards, and like I said earlier, I think having senators be in charge of rep boards, like to Senator Peterson's point, just completely undermines the checks and balances that we have laid out in this organization. I would be in favor of striking everything except for the last resolve line that the Senate would be provided with a cover letter and resume for information. This is something that we talked about a little bit last semester and it never happened, but I would absolutely be in favor of that. I think going back to Representative Guzman's points, like you have hired these execs through a hiring process, and then you don't want to hear what they have to say. Do you not trust the execs with whom you've hired to then hire other qualified people? Like, I only got this job because you guys hired me, and then now I hire other candidates for that through my job, and that my, word or expertise in a certain area wouldn't be considered. I think is silly. And I also think, I think I'm doing a good job. And if you think otherwise, feel free to let me know and feel free to let my supervisor know. But there are other ways to go about problems of character.
Representative Friend, working on the line.
Awesome. I've heard the argument that if we are unsatisfied with the performance of the exec board, we can go about impeachment or what was it, redirection?
Directing.
To begin, I do have a lot of respect for the executive, for committees such as Polypro. I do have a lot of respect for the other representatives. But I think it would be more complicated not to pass this resolution, because if we don't pass this resolution and then we're threatening impeachment if someone doesn't do their job, it seems like if we're using the word muddle, it seems like it'd be more muddling just not to pass the resolution.
Senator Kemper.
I am in favor of this resolution. I think circumstantially it takes like much more work to have a candidate be presented to the Senate and then they like veto it and then it goes back to committee and there's more complication. And I think to Senator Waters' point, there really isn't creative power from the body of the Senate as it currently stands. I, as a senator, would love to serve on the hiring committee. I think a lot of other people would love to do the same, but I would be in favor of this.
Senator Bowman.
Again, I feel like I was against the word priority. I feel like in future, exec boards, that they will feel that the word priority means that the hiring committee needs to be based around a senator who is interested and their availability, which may limit it down to just 2 people, with half of it being made of senators who also have the exact final say. I feel like this gives way too much power to the Senate. I feel like it leaves way too much confusion, and I feel like it's a bad move forward. And I would be in favor of striking everything except the last section, which gives resumes and cover letters.
FEPC Chair Holston.
I'm not looking to get hired by you guys again next year, so I'm saying this from the perspective of someone who is looking at this organization in a future forward way. But if I were to be a future FEPC chair or a future executive and was reading this and I read lines like senators should be given first priority over 1 seat on the hiring committee in the event there are senators willing to be available, I would agree that would be confusing and it would slow down the hiring process. And from an electoral perspective, just based on my experience, it wouldn't make sense to pass this, but that's my 2 cents.
Senator Rocky.
I think even questions of procedural efficiency aside, I don't see how simply having the option for senators to serve on these hiring committees doesn't give the Senate sufficient say in the hiring process. I don't know why they need to have priority. So I would also be in favor of, this striking this down and having to go to the committee and revisions, et cetera.
Vice President Allen.
Yeah, so traditionally, I know for the time that I've been here, both as a senator and as an executive, the hiring process, when it gets confirmed by the Senate, has been a little lackluster. There's no reason that it has to be that way. We can, with or without the third resolved, President DeLorge has stated, I think, I'm hopefully correct in saying this, that he will provide cover letter and resume. We can put them up on the screen. We can talk, discuss, and debate through all of the applicants. The senators can ask people on the hiring committee to go through what was discussed at the hiring committee meeting. Just traditionally in the past, for the time that I've been in student government, we haven't done that. That's just the way that things have worked, and I implore senators to make those changes and really dig into the time of confirmation and really evaluate candidates. I think that I've forgotten what else I was going to say.
Perfect. Any Representative Leah?
Okay, so I've been sitting here ruminating about this as someone who
even with this amendment, has zero power in the hiring process. And I think the primary problem, I would have been more in favor of this with the amendment, mainly for the reason that without the amendment, one of two things happens with the first section just existing, that either there are few enough people who want to serve on hiring committee that everyone gets in, or there are too many and people have to be picked. In which case, the only case a senator will not be on is if for whatever reason the president decides that only execs should be on there. And if there is not a sufficient reason a reason that the Senate isn't happy with, then that is indicative of a much wider problem with whatever president exists at that time. Not necessarily President Bush. So I think if there were such a scenario in which legitimately all of the candidates given, there is legitimate reason for only execs to be on there, maybe of the people qualified, they had the best qualifications, then that decision should be able to be made. That is the only situation in which a senator would not be able to be on the committee, and thus I think the priority clause, I would not be in favor of that for that particular reason. I think, as everyone said, third section, fantastic. I'd be in favor of having senators involved, but mainly with the section we've been arguing about, I think is the primary issue.
Senator Martone.
I motion to previous.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of moving to previous? 1, 2.
Point of privilege, for future voting, can you please raise your hands high? It's really hard for Keegan to count.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 1, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those abstaining? 1. All those in favor of the resolution as is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. We will now move on.
I have a point of privilege, and it's one that
I didn't call you. Senator Waters?
it's one that I want to share, but major documents to the Senate need 2/3 vote to pass, so that actually failed.
Okay, no, is that true?
I think so.
The hiring policies or the?
I'm opening my binder. hold on.
Yeah, let's check it in real time, unless you have an answer.
What was the question?
Do we need a 2/3 majority to make changes to the hiring policies?
Not the hiring policies.
Okay, I didn't think so. So the resolution
Apologies.
passes. What were the counts again? It was 11 to 7-0. Win, loss, tie, as Vice President Allen would say. Moving on, we will now be doing nominations and elections for representative to the Graduate Student Senate. Raise your hand if you don't know how we do this. Great, so I will not give the spiel again. We will be opening up nominations now. Do you want to take track of that?
I'm just point of information.
Sure.
Senator Waters, what time is it?
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm on it. Oh, then I need one thing with 24 meetings. Hold on. All right, UMSG meets at 3:30 on Tuesdays. Wait, no, one of them's on Tuesdays and one of them's on Wednesdays, and I can't put my calendar. Hold on. All right, UMSG meets on, what time did I say? Hold on. 3:30 on Tuesdays. I have mono brain. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, so we will now open nominations for representatives to the graduate student government. Senator Warren.
I have 2 nominate Senator Howard.
Second.
I really want to run for this position, but I have history 240 at that exact time, so.
Respectfully decline. There you go. All right, any further nominations, Senator Ricker?
No, it's not open.
Who?
It's not open.
Second. Oldfield, okay. Second,
I respect.
all right. Any further nominations for this position? Vice President Over.
I'd like to nominate Senator Crawford.
Second.
Second.
I respectfully decline. All right, Senator Bowman.
I would nominate Senator Harvey.
Second.
I respectfully decline.
Vice President Chaplin.
I'd like to nominate Senator Rocky.
Second.
Respectfully decline.
All right, before we move forward, I would like to remind all senators, new and old, of your senator requirements. You may continue. Senator Oldfield.
I'd like to nominate Senator Brown.
I respectfully decline.
Vice President Over.
I'd like to nominate Senator Bell.
Second. Respectfully decline. Any further nominations for this position? Vice President Chaplin.
Nominate Senator Thompson.
Second. Respectfully decline. Senator Howard.
One of the three, Senator Waters, is there any flexibility in that time?
There is flexibility because so let me give a rundown of the position. You have a grad student liaison that you work one-on-one with, who has offered many times that if you can't make the meetings, you can meet one-on-one with them and they have like a minutes, so I guess you could read the minutes if no one in this room can make Tuesday at 3:30. We are also in the role invited to the executive meetings, which are Wednesday at 2. So I guess there's another universe where you go to just the executive grad student meetings on Wednesdays at 2 if no one can make Tuesdays at 3:30.
And before we continue, I'm gonna say that if we don't fill this position, we will do nominations and elections for this every single week until the semester is over. And also representatives can sit on this committee as this chair, as this liaison position, because it's just liaison position, just so everybody's aware. Representative Friend.
Actually, you already answered my point of information. I'm sorry.
Okay, Vice President Over.
I'd like to nominate Senator Shelmerdine.
Second.
I respectfully decline.
Senator Crawford.
I'd like to nominate Senator Friend.
Second.
Representative.
Oh, sorry, Representative Friend.
No worries, thank you. Point of information, I did hold this position prior. They were okay with constant contact if you couldn't attend every meeting. Would the Senate be okay with this if I took up the position? Because I can't promise I can attend every meeting, but I can keep in touch with the graduate senate.
Cool. So do you accept?
If the Senate's okay with it, I accept.
Okay, awesome. All right, any further nominations for this position? Senator Thompson.
Yeah, I re-nominate Senator Howard.
And I would like to accept.
Perfect. All right, Senator Kemper.
I'd like to nominate Senator Jernigan.
I respectfully decline.
Right, Senator Warren.
I'd like to nominate Representative Levesque.
Second.
I respectfully decline.
Any further nominations for this position? As it stands, Senator Howard, Representative Friend. Representative Friend.
I was willing to take up this position to help the Senate, but if we have a senator who's more than willing with those conditions, I rescind my nomination.
Perfect. Currently nominated is Senator Howard. Are there any other nominations for this position? Going once, going twice. Congratulations, Senator. We will now move on to FEPC order of VP candidates on the election ballot.
President DeLorean, may you please pull up the link I sent you.
I'm pulling up the link you sent me.
If you want me to turn it back.
Okay. Let's go stand over here.
But this has to be done publicly, so I'm doing it this way. And this will determine, this is the most public way I can think of, and I will determine the role, like, when you click on an image and you go to the next page, when you click on an image and you go to the next page, there will be two options for vice president, and this will determine which is the first option. Can you please click the button, President Deloach? Okay,
Oh, it's what.
What is, okay. We will now move in, or actually, I am entertaining a motion. Turn on. He was spitting the. Okay, I'm entertaining a motion to enter Senator Kemper.
I'm to enter executive session right now.
Second. If that's the pleasure of Senate, that's adopted. Remember, this needs a 2/3 vote because it is a suspension of the rules. Are there discussion? Seeing none, debate. Senator Bone, Reynolds here, looks good. All right, any more debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing clear majority in the affirmative, we will now enter executive session. All non-official members of Student Gov, will you please exit